The Formula One season opener happened in Bahrain, and there's plenty to talk about. Let's get into it. As we know, teams take the off-season to soup up their cars and bring them back for testing. And while testing can tell them and us quite a bit, it really isn't the full story. And the first time we get a real taste of what's going to happen is with the first race. Aston Martin put up serious performance in preseason testing. And a lot of people didn't want to get their hopes up, myself included. But then they really brought it to Bahrain practice. And of course, we don't always think practice translates into qualifying or the race, but it did, with Fernando Alonso not only topping practices, but making his way to the podium. This is a big deal for Aston Martin. They ended last season's Constructors' Championship in 7th. After this first race, they're now sitting in 2nd. We'll see if they carry it through the rest of the season, but this is a very splashy start. On to the next impressive thing that happened in Bahrain. Gasly had a real zero to hero moment going from P20 to P9. He had a rough quali. Well, it has to be if you get P20. But that's also not where you want to be when you have a brand new employer going into this season. However, he really righted the ship and got some critical points for Alpine, who couldn't get them out of Esteban Ocon. Pierre, securing himself 9th place, has to make his new employers feel a lot better about their investment. Now we have to contrast that with the almost Alpine driver, Oscar Piastri. Oscar's contract gamble in moving to McLaren looks like a pretty bad one right now. The rookie kicked off his first official race in F1 with a DNF, which cannot feel good. It also gives us zero read on what he's actually capable of, because let's be honest, that car, it's a box. His teammate Lando Norris only scored 17th. McLaren had a disastrous weekend. We're talking slow stops that turned it essentially into a glorified testing session. McLaren has to put in a lot of work if they're going to confidently be in the midfield this season. And speaking of rookies in general, the rookie I think had the best weekend was Logan Sargeant. Sargeant is coming into F1 without the splashy pedigree of De Vries, without the crazy hype of Piastri. He didn't spin, he didn't crash, he didn't get made fun of, and in my book, that's a pretty solid rookie outing. I'm interested to see where he goes from here. And if we're being extra honest with ourselves, he had a much better weekend than Hülkenberg. But what did we learn about the big dogs this weekend? Ferrari is clearly struggling to set a new tone for their team. The hiring of Frederick Vasseur is really only the start. They've had very highly publicized issues, especially with strategy. They seem to try to address some of these highly publicized strategy issues with their tire strategy from qualifying going into the race. However, reliability reared its ugly head. Due to a mechanical error, star driver Charles Leclerc DNF'd in the first race of the season, where Ferrari was hoping to be way more competitive. Yikes. To give some extra context as to why this mechanical failure hurt so bad for Ferrari is that they put in a new energy store in his power unit. You get 2 of those a year, and they used up 1 heading into Bahrain. To add insult to injury, they had to add a control electronics component to his car for Bahrain as well, separate from the energy store, and you only get 2 of those, so it's not looking great. To close the book on the Ferrari talk, please Ferrari, get it together. For everyone. Now on to one of my personal biggest question marks. Where does Mercedes fit in this season? Mercedes got off to a rough start with the new regulations. They were not number 1 anymore, no matter how bad they wanted to be. However, their car and their strategy was clearly good enough, as George Russell started the season very strong. We knew there were problems because Lewis was experiencing them. As the season progressed, we could see that things started shifting with the team, and they did collectively start getting better. I mean, technically 2 races ago in Brazil, Mercedes got a 1-2 with George Russell winning that one. So I think you can understand my question when we saw them at Bahrain. They did not seem to be in the fighting form that they were at the end of last season. To an extent, I think it's only a matter of time that they work some things out and improve steadily. However, if we were taking a snapshot of just right now, it would pretty much look like they would be competing with Ferrari for 3rd. But here comes the big disclaimer. It is only the beginning of the season. As we know, things can change pretty darn fast. Like last year, when Charles's campaign to be WDC started pretty strong and people had very high hopes. Until, of course, Red Bull really figured it out and Max really hit the gas pedal. But anyway, I want to hear your predictions. Drop your constructors and your driver standings in the comments, and thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe.